Hey, you guys. So today I'm going to be reacting to a TikTok where a mom is sharing her thoughts on being a Venmo mom instead of a classroom mom. And this topic really hits home if you have little ones. Since, again, there's so much that affects your life and your money and your family. And if it does, which this topic takes all three of those into account, it is worth talking about. So I'm going to listen to what she says, and then I want to share some of my thoughts and kind of talk through some ways that you can show up for your kids and your budget and have that balance. And if you enjoyed this conversation, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss upcoming episodes. All right, let's watch this TikTok.
I don't know about anyone else out there, but Meet the Teacher is super stressful because I do not want to be involved at all. I will make sure my kids obviously do their homework, get to school on time and stuff, but I don't want to be on PTO, PTA, room mom, team mom. I don't want to do any of that. And I start getting real stressed when they start asking for volunteers. And I'm like, oh, no, I know they're judging me because I'm not raising my hand, but I don't want to come in. I don't want to set up. If the room mom needs money for everyone to participate, fine. I'll Venmo money right over. I don't want to set up for it. I don't want to do it. So today was very stressful, but I successfully avoided all of that today. All of that. I avoided all of it. I didn't get asked one time to be a room mom, a team mom. I even told one of the coaches today that I am a Venmo mom. So.
Oh my gosh, that's funny. Okay, so my initial thoughts are anytime anything is just massively extreme, I'm always a little bit okay, let's simmer down. It can be polarizing, right? And so I'm sure people had strong reactions to that because she is on more of an extreme, I don't want anything to do with it. I will Venmo. I don't want anything to do with it. Versus other people are oh no, I want to be in every single thing that my kids are doing and I want to be as involved as possible. Oh my gosh, I'm here, right? And I think both ends, I don't know, I'm finding in life balance is really key. But I know different seasons are going to call for different things, and I have definitely been a Venmo mom in seasons for sure. Self-admittedly, never been a room mom. I haven't. But I've started to do more and more, which we'll talk about later in this video. But again, I can see how this probably ruffled some feathers for people. Now, before I say more, I actually wanted to do a poll of you guys to see, okay, how do you identify? Are you more of a classroom mom or a Venmo mom? And 47% of you said classroom mom, so hands-on. 53% said Venmo mom. Again, I'm happy to send money to support that way, but I'm not going to come in and do things. So, that's pretty 50-50, which I don't know why I was shocked by that. I kind of thought there would be one, higher than the other, but I guess it makes sense. Which brings me to this point. Can we just cancel mom guilt and mom shaming once and for all? Depending on what side of the aisle that people, tend to lean towards, probably because of their season of life or their giftings, what they enjoy, don't beat up the other person for that. It's crazy. And that's what makes me so angry is that mom, it's oh, mom is expected to do X, Y, and Z, again, on both ends. And it's listen, there are dads in the equation too, right? And I know there's been seasons where Winston has gone on field trips with the kids because I've had to work or whatever it looks like. There are things that are going to happen in life on both sides of the spectrum. So don't sit there and just bicker at each other. Just loosen up, you guys, regardless of where you naturally stand. Because again, we all have different gifts and capabilities, and that's what makes the community work. And showing up for your kids, though, I think is a major win, and that can look a lot of different ways. So before I share the 4 key things that every parent should remember, I want to talk about one of our sponsors, Delete Me. Delete Me is so great, you guys, because there are scammers everywhere today. And it's amazing how much of your information, personal information, is out on the internet. And scams can come up, and I'll admit it, I have fallen for 1 or 2 of them. But that is why I use and recommend Delete Me, because it gives me such peace of mind. They go in and remove all your personal info. So this is your home address, phone number, and more from hundreds of data broker websites, helping protect you from spammers, scammers, and online thieves, and potentially saving you a lot of time and money. So you guys make sure to go to joindeleteme.com/Rachel for 20% off. That's joindeleteme.com/Rachel. And do this because, again, having a service like this in the world we live in with the internet and how much our information is out there, it is worth it. All right, here are 4 things to remember next time you catch yourself maybe getting a little competitive with like, a different mom in your world and you're like, oh, remember, number 1 is not better than the other, okay? So like on both ends, it's not that like one is getting it right and the other's not. And so that's what happens. I think sometimes we think how we behave and what we believe and what we want, everyone should be like that. And if they're not, they're somehow doing it wrong. And that's just not true. So me, for example, I've never been a room mom. I'm not on PTO. I Venmo for sure. I will go in because my girls love it and Charles does too. So I do it for him. If there are opportunities to volunteer and I'm able to plan it out, I will do that. And this is everything from like being a class reader or going in and, helping the teacher do some stuff. So I do that a few times a year. It's not a ton, but it's enough because my kids love when we show up for school. And they've asked me, Caroline has specifically asked me, Mom, will you please come and be the class reader one day? So there are things in that you're like, okay, I'm going to do that because my kids are asking and it's great. And I do want to be more involved and I enjoy it and it's fine. Now, my sister, on the other hand, she is part of everything you can imagine at our kids' school. Our kids go to the same school, same elementary school. It's precious and so sweet. But sweet Denise, I mean, she is on PTO. She does all the fundraising here. We had like a Friday fun night and Denise like had the volunteer t-shirt because she's running different stations. I mean, Denise is involved. We love her for that. She enjoys it too. She really does. Like she loves it. So again, I'm not better than her. She's not better than me. It's all great. All right, number 2 is to know what is actually helpful. So again, the idea of volunteering is to help out the teacher. I mean, that's going to be it. And so pay attention to what they need and do your best to pitch in. I did this thing for my 4th grader and the teacher even told me, she's like, I'm probably giving you the worst thing to do and I'm so sorry. And it was just like this thing of dividing out all the stuff. And I was really happy to do it, honestly, because I thought she's sitting here teaching all day to these kids and having to go home and not only grade papers, but do all this other stuff. Like, no, I can do this. So again, making sure that you are doing and serving how the teacher or the school needs it, I think is really, really key. Number 3 is not about the school, it's actually at home. And that is being present at home. That is the top priority, okay? So regardless of whether you volunteer or you're room mom or what Venmo mom, like regardless of where you stand on all of this, being a present parent is really key. And that can look a lot of different ways. Again, sometimes it's volunteering, sometimes it's sending money. But your relationship with your kids, that's what it's about. And being interested in them, knowing them, asking questions, being in tune with your kids is so important. And so many parents, I think, can even justify in this situation, like, well, I do so much at their school, like they'll know. Or are you kidding? Like, look how much we pay for over here. I mean, your kids don't, at the end of the day, they care about your relationship with them. And that is top priority, regardless of if you're a Venmo parent or a room parent, right? And number 4 is to check your identity because you want to make sure that you're doing either one of these out of a healthy place. Meaning, if you're on one extreme and you're serving down to the bone, and you're doing it from an unhealthy place because you're wanting, you want approval and, you're doing it from a bad motivation, that can't be good for you long term. And then the other end, right? Sometimes I think even that video, I'm not saying this about her, but sometimes there can be this like, well, I just send money and like, oh my God, I don't want to do anything with my kids. Like you can start to be prideful on that end as well. So making sure your motivation is healthy, just knowing, hey, I work full time. I'm not able to go and be at my kids' stuff and I'm not going to feel bad about that. So I'm going to send money. Like there's something about the motivation of that end as well that's really important to keep a pulse on. So regardless of how you interact with your kids and their activities and their schooling and all of it, making sure that's coming from a healthy place. But when it comes to our kids overall, their character and who they're becoming is really key. Meg Meeker always says that you're not just trying to raise good kids, you're raising kids to be good adults, right? So we want them to thrive in life. And that means the character of who they are is so key. And so generosity, contentment, learning to give and be generous and to share, like all of this is so, so important. And so that's why I've written a couple of kids' books around these topics because I think it is really, really key. Make sure to click the link below to check that out. And share this episode with anyone who needs some encouragement of all the mom expectations out there. We want to just flatten that, give some balance to the conversation. And if you think that this conversation is a little controversial, well, you haven't seen anything yet. Check out my episode on my most hated financial advice, which is eating at home. Who knew? So I'll leave a link in the description as well. Remember, you guys, to take control of your money and create a life you love.